In Redondo Beach right now, South Redondo single-family homes are sitting in a market with 2.1 months of supply, while South Redondo condos and townhomes are at 4.1. Same city, completely different pressure. And if you use one citywide average to make a selling decision in a split market like that, you can misprice your home before the first weekend even starts. If you're thinking about selling in the next 3 to 6 months, that difference is not theoretical. It changes your leverage, your likely days on market, how much stress your household absorbs, and how much room the market gives you to be wrong. Detached housing still has real scarcity working for it, but there's also a wild card sitting over the whole market right now. Financing got tighter fast. The 30-year fix moved from 6% in early March to 6.46% by April 2nd. So waiting is not a mutual choice. It might buy you time. It might also hand your future buyer a smaller budget. So let's picture 2 Saturdays. In one, a detached home gets its first serious traffic right away. The driveway fills up, and by Sunday night, the seller has a clean read on whether the launch worked. In the other, an attached seller watches buyers come through with a very different posture. They're not rushing. They're comparing. They're looking at one more building, one more HOA, one more layout, one more monthly payment. That's the split market I want you to understand today. Redondo Beach has a chase lane, a precision lane, and a comparison lane. Your outcome depends on knowing which lane your home is actually in. The cleanest place to start is months of supply, also called absorption rate. In plain English, that's how long it would take to sell everything currently on the market if no new listings came on and buyers kept buying at the current pace. Functionally, it acts like a pressure gauge. Lower supply compresses decision making and protects the seller. Higher supply gives buyers more room to compare and more time to hesitate. And you can already see the split if you compare February to March instead of just looking at one snapshot. Citywide, single-family homes held flat at 2.2 months of supply from February to March. Condos and townhomes moved the other way, expanding from 2.6 months to 3.4. That is the first proof point. Detached held its scarcity. Attached picked up more breathing room. So here's what I want to do in this video. I want to show you where speed is still tightening, where pricing power got stronger month over month, where buyers suddenly have more choice than they did 30 days ago, and what that changes if you're trying to sell within the next 3 to 6 months. And if you want help applying this to your actual home instead of some citywide average, I offer a completely free one-on-one strategy session. My job in that conversation is to help you get clear on what your home could realistically sell for, how much leverage you actually have, and what the cost of waiting could be, so you can make a cleaner decision with less stress. And if you're not ready for a call yet, I've put HomeBot in the description. It's a simple way to track your home's value, your equity, and what your options could look like, so that you can stay informed until you're ready to make the next move. I'm Hernandez, and my role is to help you make a cleaner decision with your equity, because your home does not live inside a headline. It lives inside a micro market. South Redondo single-family homes closed in March at a median of $2,775,500. North Redondo single-family homes closed at $1,570,000. On the attached side, North Redondo closed at a median of $1,709,000, while South Redondo came in at $1,075,000. Those are not tiny variations inside one city. Those are different competitive environments asking for different seller behavior. Let's start with detached housing, because that is still the cleanest scarcity story in Redondo Beach. Citywide, the attached market did not just feel tight in March. It tightened in ways you can prove from February. Active listings barely moved, going from 50 to 49. Pending sales held flat at 24. Closed sales, though, jumped from 16 to 30. Months of supply stayed pinned at 2.2. Median days on market compressed from 19 days in February to 9 in March. Median percents of last list price received improved from 99.1% to 99.6%. Median percents of the original price received moved from 98.2% to 100.2%. That is not just a good month. That is a market showing you in sequence that speed improved, pricing held better, and demand converted more cleanly while inventory stayed tight. Said simply, detached sellers did not just have a scarcity in March. They had better evidence that scarcity was still translating into real leverage. And that original versus last list gap matters. It tells you something very important about seller behavior. The market is not rewarding curiosity pricing. It is rewarding disciplined launch pricing. The homes that that came out aligned with the market got protected. The sellers who had to adjust gave some leverage back. So if you're thinking maybe I price a little high and leave room to negotiate, the detached data is not validating that instinct. It's telling you the first pricing decision still carries the most weight. Now let's break that into two detached lanes, because North and South Redondo are not interchangeable. North Redondo single family homes look like the stable scarcity lane. In February, there were 27 active listings. In March, there were still 27. New listings held flat at 13. Pending slipped only slightly from 12 to 11. Closed sales rose from 10 to 14. Months of supply moved from 2.2 to 2.3, which is basically steady. Median days on market though dropped from 17 to 9, and the pricing metric strengthened from 99.3% of last list and original list in February to 100.1% on both in March. That is a very disciplined market, not flashy, disciplined. Buyers are still stepping up when the home makes sense and the market is giving you a fast answer. What that feels like on the ground is a buyer pool that knows the lane. They know what a functional North Redondo detached home is. They know what compromises are normal. They know roughly what the monthly payment paying looks like. So if your home is clean, credible, and priced properly, you are not asking buyers to invent confidence from scratch. For a homeowner, that kind of predictability matters more than people realize. Predictability lowers stress. It makes it easier to coordinate your next move. It makes it easier to underwrite your downside. It makes it less likely that your home ends up in that emotional spiral where the home sits and every conversation turns into, do we need to cut the price? So if your goal is speed and a relatively clean exit, your leverage here lives in clarity, not in wishful pricing, not in let's see what happens. This lane tends to reward decisiveness. It tends to punish vanity. South Redondo single family is even tighter, but it's a more expensive kind of tight. And the February to March shift is even sharper here. Active listings fell from 23 to 22. Pendings rose from 12 to 13. Closed sales jumped from 6 to 16. Months of supply tightened from 2.2 to 2.1. Median days on market collapsed from 38 days in February to 10 in March. Median percent of the last list price received improved from 98.5% to 99.6%. Median percent of the original price received moved from 91.6% to 100.2%. That is a serious change in transaction quality. February showed more slippage. March showed a market that stopped giving sellers that extra room to be wrong. Buyers still paid. They just paid the sellers who came to the market correctly. The median sales price in March was $2,775,500 and the median price per square foot was $1,337. So yes, the premium is real, but the lesson is not that prestige gives you unlimited room. The lesson is that premium markets can still be unforgiving when the launch is off. In fact, buyers at this price point often get more selective, not less. They scrutinize condition. They care about layout friction. They care about whether your house is genuinely one of the scarce good options or just one more ambitious seller trying to cash in on the address. So if you own in South Redondo and you're thinking about settling, the market is giving you a real advantage, but it is a front-loaded advantage. The first week matters. The first price matters. The first impression matters. Scarcity helps. It does not rescue a seller fantasy. If I compress the detached story into one sentence, it's this. Detached Redondo Beach is not just scarce this month. It improved from February to March. That scarcity is still converting into faster movements and stronger pricing discipline. Now let's move into the attached side, because this is where Redondo Beach gets more nuanced and a lot more dangerous to oversimplify. Citywide, condos and townhomes also got stronger in some ways from February to March, but the mechanism was very different. Active listings rose from 77 to 96. New listings rose from 39 to 50. Pending sales dropped from 33 to 21. Closed sales rose from 28 to 31. Months of supply expanded from 2.6 to 3.4. Median days on market fell from 16 to 11. The median percent of the last list price received recovered from 97.9% to 100%. The median percent of the original price received recovered from 97.4% to 100%. That combination is exactly why this market can confuse people. If you only look at the pricing metrics, you might think attached housing suddenly got stronger across the board. If you only look at inventory and pending sales, you might think it got softer. The reality is more interesting than either headline. Correctly priced attached homes homes were still closing cleanly, but buyers were getting more choice at the same time. So the market was not uniformly stronger, it was becoming more selective. And the citywide median sales price proves why you have to be careful. It jumped from $1,249,500 in February to $1,649,000 in March. If you stop there, you could talk yourself into believing the whole attached market caught fire. I don't think that's the right read. The better read is that the mix changed and the story inside North and South Redondo matters more than the citywide headline. North Redondo attached is the clearest example. This is the precision lane. In February, North Redondo attached had 36 active listings. In March, it had 48. New listings jumped from 17 to 27. Pending sales fell from 23 to 12. Closed sales still rose from 19 to 22. Months of supply expanded from 2.1 to 2.9. Median days on market slowed from 10 to 14. And at the same time, the pricing metrics improved from 98.7% of both original and last list in February to 100% on both in March. That tells a very specific story. Recent deals are still getting done, but fresh demand softened while supply broadened. The faucet started running faster than the drain. Buyers are still willing to pay for the right attached product in North Redondo, but they are becoming more selective about which product deserves that payment. That's why I call this the precision lane. Price is still available, a clean close is still available, but you do not get to freeload on the market. Buyers in this lane are comparing square footage, garage utility, light, floor plan, stairs, privacy, HOA trade-offs, and a monthly payment all at once. They're not just asking, do I like this one? They are asking, for roughly the same monthly hit, is this the best attached option for my board? And that changes the seller experience. You can still get traffic, you can still hear positive feedback, but attention is not the same as commitment once the shelf gets fuller. If your home competes in this lane, your leverage lives in being the easiest yes on the board, not in assuming the market will overlook a weak launch just because North Redondo attached housing has a premium number attached to it. Now let's go to South Redondo attached because this is the clearest comparison lane in the city. In February, there were 41 active listings. In March, there were 47. New listings held flat at 22. Pending sales slipped from 10 to 9. Closed sales stayed flat at 9, and months of supply expanded from 3.4 to 4.1, the highest reading in Redondo Beach. The median percent of last list price received improved from 96.5% to 100%. The median percent of the original price received improved from 95.6% to 100%. And the median days on market dropped from 57 in February to 11 in March. Now I want to be disciplined with that last number because this is a thinner sample. I do not think the right read is that buyer urgency in South Redondo attached was fundamentally rewired overnight. If pendings held at 9, closings held at 9, active inventory rose, and months of supply got tighter, then the more credible interpretation is that still February inventory cleared and the homes that were priced right finally found their buyer. That's a very different story from saying the whole lane suddenly got hot. And this is exactly why February matters. February proves the resistance. March proves that the market will still transact, but only when the seller respects the buyer's comparison set. What does that feel like if you own a condo or a townhome in South Redondo? It feels like more comparison shopping. Buyers can spend more time thinking. They can weigh one unit against another. They can ask whether the dues feel justified, whether the parking works for their life, whether the building feels dated, whether the layout is really functional, whether the location gives them the version of the coastal living they actually pictured. That means more tours do not always translate into more urgency. More compliments do not always translate into stronger offers. A quiet inbox after a decent traffic does not always mean the market is broken. Sometimes it means you're in a lane where buyers have the room to compare. And yet I want to keep one important nuance on the table. South Redondo attached is not unsellable. Citywide attached sellers still achieved 100% of both original and last list in March. So the message is not panic, the message is posture. This lane can still deliver a clean outcome, but your leverage is conditional. It depends on where your home sits inside the comparison set. If your priority is speed, the safer posture is to be unmistakably market aligned from day one. If your priority is squeeze squeezing for the last possible dollar, the risk profile changes because this is exactly the lane where extra competition gives buyers the confidence to wait you out. So if I put the scoreboard plainly, detached Redondo Beach is still the chase lane. North Redondo attached is the precision lane. South Redondo attached is the comparison lane. And the reason I'm comfortable saying that is not because it sounds clean, it's because February to March data keeps pointing in that direction. If you're realizing your home may not be in the market lane you assumed it was, that's exactly why I offer a one-on-one strategy session. I can help you get out of the guesswork and into a real plan so you're not making a pricing decision, a timing decision, or a move decision based on the wrong comps and the wrong assumptions. And if you're still in research mode, HomeBot is in the description too. It gives you an easy way to watch your value, equity, and buying power over time so that you can stay close to the decision without feeling like you have to make it today. Now let's zoom out from the street to the buyer's monthly payment because no local market analysis is complete without that larger frame. This month, 3 outside forces matter most: mortgage rates, the Fed backdrop, and the broader strength of the job market. Those are the forces deciding how many buyers show up, how confident they feel, and how much room they have to stretch when they feel like your home is the right one. As of the first week of April, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate was 6.46%. A month earlier, it was 6%. That is a meaningful jump in a very short period of time. The practical effect is straightforward. The buyer who looked solid in early March may still be in the market, but they are doing math with less comfort right now. The message rates are sending is higher for longer, or at least uncertain for longer. In Redondo Beach, that doesn't erase demand, but it absolutely trims the edges of what buyers feel safe offering. The important distinction is that this is not a collapse story. March added 178,000 jobs nationally. Unemployment held at 4.3%, the labor force participation was 61.9%, and the housing affordability index improved to 117.6 in February, up from 117.1 in the month before and 103.1 a year earlier. So the buyer pool is still there, it is employed, it is functioning, it is just more payment sensitive than it was when rates were calmer. For you as a homeowner, that means the market can still reward you, but it is less likely to forgive a pricing mistake. Buyers are still willing to move. They are simply less willing to subsidize your optimism. That is why the single family seller with real scarcity still needs discipline. And it is why the attached seller with more competition needs even more of it. Here's the question I want you to answer for yourself. Does your home sit in the lane buyers still have to chase, or in the lane they have the luxury to compare? That answer matters more than whether this week's national headline sounds optimistic or gloomy. And there is one more layer you should be watching if your timing is in the next 3 to 6 months. Redondo Beach is not frozen in place. In South Redondo, the Nivasa mixed-use project was approved with 49 residential units, including affordable units, plus ground floor commercial space along the corridor. In North Redondo, the South Bay Galleria Phase 2 and the Social District plan still represents a major long-run change, with 350 residential units and additional commercial space tied to that corridor. At the same time, you have city infrastructure work moving forward, including the new fire station number 2 process and the Avenue A beach access improvements. None of that becomes next month's comparable sale, but all of it shapes the feel of change and buyers react to that. So the central conflict in Redondo Beach right now is this: the market still rewards scarcity, but it is getting less willing to reward hope. Detached sellers still have real leverage. Attached sellers still have the opportunity too, but the margin for error is thinner because choice is creeping back in, and rates are quietly taxing every buyer decision in the background. If you do nothing, that is still a decision. You are choosing to let time, inventory, and payment sensitivity keep moving around you. My bottom line is this: if your home is in a scarce lane, this market still gives you a real chance to sell with speed and dignity. If your home is in a comparison lane, you can still win, but only if you respect the buyer's new ability to pause, compare, and walk. The trade-off is not just now versus later. It is leveraged now versus potential more competition later. If you're serious about selling in the next 3 to 6 months, the real goal is not more noise. It's better decision quality. Schedule a one-on-one strategy session using the link below, and I'll help you get clear on your likely pricing range, your leverage, your timing risk, and the cleanest path forward for your situation. And if you're not ready to talk yet, start with HomeBot. Think of it as a financial dashboard for your home so that you can track your value, your equity, and what a move might actually look like before you make one. I'm Mr. Hernandez, and I'll see you in the next video.